Welcome to We Go Deep with Kat and Sarah. I am here with Dr. Kathleen Perry and I am Dr. Sarah Joy O'Neill. And today we are chatting about when life doesn't go your way. And we had both this week had a lot of small things happen where it was just not frustrating. It was just frustrating. It's like, I don't want my air conditioner to break. At a locksmith here today. I would have preferred my door to not break. So when life doesn't go your way, what does that bring up for you, Kathleen?
Yeah, well, I mean, you said, I don't even remember what you said, but these little things. Well, hey, in my human brain, an air conditioner, like I need the whole condenser, coil, brand new unit, and probably like while we're up there, let's just give you a whole new heating system. It didn't feel like a little thing.
Well, and I forgot, sorry, I forgot you're in Texas. So like right now in Ontario where I am, we don't really need an air conditioner today.
Yeah.
Where you are, that's a very different prospect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all relative and it's all made up, like the scale of something, like how big
True.
the challenge is, like we make that up. But for me, I feel like I got, under the dark rain cloud of rained upon with multiple things. Toilet broken this week. Got some amazing help with an IT guy on my desktop, but then he took it with him and said, well, for X amount of dollars, I can make your hard drive go a lot faster. It came back and now I got to rejig programs and and so that felt kind of frustrating. And then yesterday, my Facebook account got shut down. So the saying that, challenges, bad things come in three. Well, life gave me four all within a week. And it's frustrating. At least it feels like it because of all the thought, that energy of like me creating my own reality by the way that I'm giving attention to these things and the story I'm telling about them. Like, didn't want that, shouldn't happen. How come I got four bad things all happen at one time? And yet I can just go, isn't it funny? Like, and how fortunate am I that I am going to get air conditioning fixed somehow, some way. And how lucky am I? And we've had a cold snap. Well, I shouldn't say a cold snap, but for early June, the highs have only been in the mid 80s and cooling down to the mid 70s at night. So it's not, thank goodness it didn't happen in August here, where you wake up and it's already 80 plus and it hits 95 or 100 pretty soon. So anyway, have you had your share or a couple of things that didn't exactly go the way you wanted to recently?
Well, just a bunch of where I realized things I thought had been done weren't. And then I started to, but it's interesting because it started to look like everyone around me, like 4 or 5 different people, were dropping the ball all on the same day. And so it's like I get a little suspicious. Okay, Sarah, everybody, who's the common denominator in all this, Sarah? and like I'd asked my husband to put in an air conditioner. We have a window air conditioner for my office room that I'm sitting in right now. And I'd asked him to put it in like 2 months ago. And so then when I became frustrated, all of a sudden I'm seeing everything as frustrating. And so it was like, look at that window, there's no air conditioner in it. But, yesterday I didn't really care that it hadn't been done yet. And yeah, it's interesting. It's partly when you know how we work as humans, it gets interesting, because we experience things because we have thoughts about them. And so obviously I was generating a lot of frustrated thoughts today. And then that frustration started to look outward into the world to find outlets. Surely there's other things to be frustrated about. And so then everything looked like the lens of frustration. As you were talking, it occurred to me, culturally, we often talk about like, well, turn the lemons into lemonade. And so, you can find the good in the things you don't like, which is better than not. It's better than staying with the lemons and being angry about it. But what if they're not lemons to start with?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a couple cool things about what you said. First, back to like, it's kind of like the mood we're in, right? The level of consciousness, the kind of thought created emotional state that we're coming from. Like when we're feeling frustrated, it's kind of like having an argument with your spouse or your partner. Like, hey, maybe we should table this one, until we can have this discussion about this topic or this, this conflict that we know we can solve. We'll come up with, fresh and creative and great ideas when we're more in that place of loving one another, feeling that. So the mood, the tone, the emotional tone, I think that makes a difference. Yeah. And then the last thing you said, and now I can't remember.
What if they're not lemons to start with?
Yes. Like, right. Problems are all made up. They're the experience of something in the world of form that is happening, right? We have an experience of that 100% created from the inside out. 100% of our experience of what is and what's happening, right, is thought created. So without the ability to think and then perceive the feeling that comes from our thinking, there wouldn't be problems. Did I say that right?
There wouldn't be problems.
Well, that's the way it seems to me.
No, I agree, and I'm laughing because it's very yeah, there wouldn't be problems. It's true. There would, and so I was looking for the words of like, okay, well, what would there be then if that sounds bananas to someone,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what are you talking?
Yeah.
What would there be?
There would be a thing that happened. There would be a broken, whatever you call it, compressor, coil, I don't know. There'd be that broken thing. But it wouldn't be a problem necessarily, or it wouldn't be a frustration, or it would be okay, I need to find the money and hire the guy to come out and fix it. Right?
Yeah. I was going to say there would be a task to do, but even not necessarily. Somebody might choose to leave the thing broken.
Yeah.
They might not care. So there might not be anything to do.
Right. Except wake up in the middle of the night with, as a 62-year-old female, going like, I thought those hot flashes were over 10 years ago. Like, I'm sweating. This is South Texas, Sarah. Yeah. But yeah, interesting. Like, that is somebody's listening to us have this conversation saying, like, what do you mean there's not even a problem?
Well, yeah, it's a circumstance. So a thing happens in the world. And you have to, the first step in making it into a problem or a task, or a person has to notice it.
Hmm.
Like trees fall in the woods all the time and nobody notices. The locksmith came today because our door handle was coming off the door, and but it I think it had been doing that for a while. The bolts were loosening and nobody noticed. And so it wasn't a problem, but the happening had happened. The bolts have been loosening for a long time. So I noticed it would be the first. You noticed your air, I mean, you notice your air conditioner has broken quicker, so, but you wouldn't notice in the winter if it was broken. At least not here under how much snow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have to have a thought about it.
And we do, right? That's what our brains do.
There are times though, I find it interesting to notice, because there are things in my life and in the world in general where I'm aware of the thing or the happening. I don't have any thoughts about it.
Yes, true. True.
And so therefore I have no feelings about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's real neutral. Something happens and it just is. You don't, yeah.
Yeah. So a while ago, I had got curious about just looking at, well, what things are in my immediate life that I know I'm aware of, but I have no feeling about. And what are the category of things where I'm making it into a problem, or where I think it's a problem, or where I have some level of feeling about it. I might not think it's a problem, but I might have some sort of feeling about it, and in looking and getting really curious about that, it became obvious it's the things I have thoughts about.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's a really cool thing to be aware of. I was again imagining people listening to us going like, all right, what do I do with this perceived problem? And what I think is interesting is that the more we start thinking about what we should do, what we have to do, like we get more caught up in our heads. We put more focus on this problem solving intellectual part of us. And sometimes there's a huge value, right? That the intellectual part of us, that thinking brain, is capable of doing addition or checking our bank balance or trying to decide, you know what I mean? But there's also this part of us, we are innately built, baked into us with an inner guidance system and wisdom that knows what the next step is, like knows if there is something that needs to be done. And I know if people are facing like multiple big challenges, it can be really difficult to go like, okay, right, you're telling me I have this inner guidance system, like I got a big problem that needs to be solved. But the best solutions come to us when we can quiet ourselves down, right? And just give a little less attention to all those figuring out thoughts, or what am I going to do thoughts in our head, and just get quiet and try to give space around it, to allow a fresh idea, to occur, or
Mhm.
even space for help to arrive. Like, because sometimes that happens. Like sometimes life just like offers up on a silver platter a thing or someone who can help us. But when we're in that kind of going back to that mood, right, of frustration and what am I going to do, and I believe me, I get there frequently where I'm feeling like helpless and I can't handle this. That, giving attention to that type of thinking rarely, if ever, leads us to a place where fresh ideas and solutions can arise.
Yeah. I have experienced with um, bigger or more intense life situations where you can get to that quiet quicker because you don't know what to do. You come to the end of yourself much quicker, and I've experienced popping into a quiet because you couldn't figure it out. It was too big. It was too emergency. Um, and then I watched myself acting because it was just coming to me, the actions to do. And in things like, oh, the door is broken, or in things that are more mundane or everyday, it's like we have the luxury to go into our thinking brain and try to figure it out, because often it looks like that mode works. But I have noticed that when the idea of like, just call somebody to fix the door, that sort of just came to me uh, despite all the chatter, and it came from the quiet underneath. And
Yeah.
yeah, so the directive, or it's not a directive so much, but the idea of just get quiet and settle, and fresh ideas, good ideas will come. Yeah, that's 100%. It's 100% reliable.
Yes. And it's always operating, like it's always there. Like you're saying, even if we're busy minded, it just takes a split second to just maybe one breath, one, right? We're just 1 millisecond away from access to that. And everybody listening can relate to what you were talking about, that emergency situation where you don't have the luxury to think and with the intellect try to figure out what needs to be done. You're just, that thinking almost like goes completely into the background because action, is required. Everybody can relate to that, where all of a sudden, and you just know the next thing to do. And sometimes, right, it doesn't look like the outcome was a good one, but you can still relate. Everybody can still relate to, I just knew what to do next, and then next, and then next.
Got through.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's reliable.
That you prefer, but you got through.
Yeah, and that is 100% reliable. So I think it's helpful to kind of go back in time and recall a situation where you just knew what to do. That's what it feels like when your wisdom, when you make space to let, your inner knowing show up for you, because it's right there.
Yeah, it is. We could call this one, your inner knowing is right there.
Yeah, we could. Or we could call it, shit happens.
Yes.
Maybe stuff happens and we know what to do.
Anything else on this topic? I feel like we had a nice little chat and came up with some wisdom and yeah,
I don't have more to add. Yeah.
great. Okay. And we'll talk to everyone, all of you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Talk to you next time. Bye.